So tonight's supper, I am going to take the food that we had this week, my leftovers, and make it into a different type of meal. I have mashed potatoes, so I'm going to make it into potato cakes. I'm going to take this sliced bread, and I'm going to make a garlic butter concoction to spread over top, and I'll put that in the air fryer most likely. I'm taking noodles, Amish noodles that I made back in February, and I'm just thawing them in the microwave. Those aren't going to become anything different, but the base for these are the chopped steak patties with the sauteed onions. I'm going to crumble up and make a beef gravy to go over the noodles. My kids really enjoy potato cakes, and the main ingredient that you would need is an egg and flour to bind and to help hold everything together. And then your options after that are completely your choice. But here's what I have on hand for this evening. I have shredded some cheese, and again, you don't even have to do that, but shredded some cheese, and that's probably about half of a cup. I have a couple tablespoons of flour. I may not use all of that. And then my seasonings, I have a 1/4 teaspoon garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which I may or may not use all of that because these were salted, of course, when we had them. And then I have about 10 cranks of ground pepper. So that's maybe an 1/8 of a teaspoon for that. And then I will use bacon grease because I have some in my fridge. Sometimes I use butter, sometimes I use oil to fry these on my griddle. So this is where I'm going to just put in 1 tablespoon of flour to begin with. I do end up using the 2nd tablespoon. I kind of find a little bit of a guessing game when it comes to making potato cakes. The consistency that is best. It's really going to depend on what consistency your mashed potatoes were to begin with. And I really didn't mean to put that whole egg in. I was talking to my husband and became distracted. But in the end, the consistency was fine. I am not one to make these into patties first. I just plop them onto the griddle when I cook. So this works out just fine. I have a little bit of time before I will fry these, so I put them into the refrigerator to get nice and cold. I love having some extra bacon grease on hand in my fridge, and I am not ashamed of it at all. But I plop on a good 9 or 10 of these patties, and in the past I used to make them into patties and it was so messy. So I just plop them on there now. The key is not messing with them. Just let them sit there and think about how crunchy they want to become. Let all of the flavors talk to each other, get to know each other before you attempt to flip them, because you could have a mess and you do want a nice little brown crust on that. Moving on to the gravy, I have melted 2 tablespoons of butter, and I prepared 4 cups of beef broth with my that bouillon stuff that's stored in the fridge. You know the name. that I can't think of at the moment, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. I pretty much babysat that roux. Didn't want it to burn, but I wanted it to brown nicely. And I remember that name now. It's better than bouillon. And I slowly add the 4 cups of broth to my roux. I don't mind a thinner gravy, but if you would rather have something a little thicker, then you probably would rather increase your butter and flour quantities for the 4 cups of broth going in. But we're satisfied with a thinner broth here. And I gradually whisk that in and continue to whisk it occasionally so the lumps don't form on the bottom, and create a gravy before I add in the beef. The original chopped steak had seasoning salt and one of Kinder's flavored seasonings, but I just decided to add a little bit of steak seasoning in this as well. That was maybe about a half a teaspoon. That was the only additional seasoning I put to this gravy. I sort of forgot about the bread in the air fryer. So it came out a little crunchy, but I had decided to put Laughing Cow cheese over these slices with some garlic salt, and a couple of the slices had goat cheese because I really like that also. That's it. I hope this gives you some inspiration for using your leftovers. Thanks. Bye.